Hello and welcome to this hairstyle tutorial video that we're gonna do today. I asked a month ago on my Instagram if you were interested and a lot of people said yes. So that's the plan for this video. We're gonna do 14th century hairstyles. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Andrea, who has a blog called Recreating History. And she had a workshop at an event where you got to learn this, so that's how I learned. So I just want to shout out to her. And let's get started. And the tutorial is aimed at the late 14th century, which is what I'm reenacting, and also more aimed towards the upper classes, because my understanding is that most women in the lower classes did not wear their hair done and visible. They wore wimples and veils. So basically you had to be upper class to be able to have the social status to be able to wear your hair like this, not very modest, because if you were poorer you had to be modest and then you wore your veil. So with that in mind, let's start. In today's video we're gonna do two different hairstyles. I mean, when you look at manuscript pictures or effigies, meaning statues, you can get a hint on how they actually braided their hair. So these are not the only two options, but you can start to look yourselves and be imaginative. But I'm gonna show two versions. So one, which I'm wearing now, where you braid from the front of the temples and back, and one where you start from the back and braid towards the front. And we're also going to talk a little bit about different ways to fasten the braid, because you can use different techniques for that. So that is what I'm going to start with, and then we go on to the actual hairstyles. So first off we need a comb. So this one is a copy of medieval ones. Then we have the mirror, which is also based on a medieval mirror. And then we have the different options here to actually do your hair. So the first option is to cheat and use modern tools. So here we have some bobby pins and clear rubber bands. And I'm not going to use these today, as I don't recommend bobby pins if you're going to wear your hair visible, because those will be visible in that case. But we are actually going to use the clear bands today, as those will be covered by hair, so not visible. If you want to be more period and actually not use these, I could recommend either woolen thread or wax linen thread, dependent on which option suits your hair best. And the first method for attaching your braids is to sew them. So here we have a bolt of woolen yarn, which is dyed in a color similar to my hair. And we also have a blunt wooden needle, so I don't hurt myself when sewing. And important to remember here is that the wool is a good choice because it can easily be plant dyed. Linen is harder to plant dye, and also the wool has a good texture that will make it stuck to your hair more easily. Sewing is a little bit tricky, so if you don't want to do that, we can use pins. Medieval pins. So here I have a pair of decorated ones, which are based on the medieval find. We also have some plain ones, which is just U-shaped. If you, like me, have silky hair, you can use some beeswax to coat the pins so they get a little bit more friction and will stick more easy. So you want to start with parting your hair in the middle and dividing it into 2 strands. Start combing the hair to the front to place the strand next to the temple where you want the braid to start. Comb it tightly. And then you want to start braiding. Start with the strand closest to the face and braid. You should do this braid very tight. If you end up in a situation like I did here, where one of the strands are shorter, you can borrow some from the next strand which has more hair. Once you finish the braid, you should secure it with either one of these rubber bands, or if you're using some thread, you secure it with that. And then we do the next braid. Here we want to make sure it starts at the same position as the other one, so they don't end up uneven. Make it tight, and then you start braiding from the face and braid tightly. Same thing here, I end up borrowing some from the neighbor strand. And finishing off with the rubber band. Now we need our pins, so we're using these medieval hairpins. And we're gonna fold the braid, make sure it's not longer than your shin, and make it flat. And then we're gonna squish that pin in and make sure to grab both sides of the braid and the hair on your head. And tuck it in. And here on the next side you can see, fold it, make sure it is on the same level as the other one, and then we take the pin. And one technique that is useful is to take one of the legs, which you can see me doing soon. Here, one of the legs goes in from the bottom, and then you twist it and grab the hair on the head and both strands of the braid. So now we are stuck with 2 of these little tails. So these we are going to use more pins for, to fasten at the back. So take a pair of plain pins, and we're going to pin the hair and the braid and twist it and pull it in. And make sure then to tuck the end of the braid in the hair so it doesn't stick out. Same on the other side. Take the hair and the braid, twist it and pull it in. And if you want to, you can finish off with one of these fillets. And I'm using another pin here because there was some extra hair sticking out. So now for the second hairstyle, we are gonna start braiding from the back of the head, so behind the ear somewhere. You're gonna make it tight and you're gonna braid. Also here, continue as far as possible and then fasten with the band. Next side, make sure to match the position and then braid. And fasten again. So now we want to just check the position and where we want the hair, and then we're gonna start sewing it. Take the thread, rip a piece, take the needle and thread it, and to start I make a loop in a knot, and then I pull the thread through itself so it will run. And this little loop I can then pull my hair through and start the sewing. So I'm gonna sew in the hair at my head and then go around the braid. And you can even sometimes go through the braid at the bottom to make it stick better. So you're just gonna continue your way upwards and sewing and position the braid along the way. Depending on how long hair you have, your ends will end up at different positions. So you just make it work dependent on how your hair looks. So now if we have done a bit, we will take up the next strand, and in my case, since they're gonna overlap a bit, I will now overlap them and sew 2 strands together with the hair. So I'm continuously sewing and then going down the other side. And now I'm not that happy with how the middle looks, so after I fasten my fillet, I will do some more sewing to fasten it at the middle a little bit more. And make sure to tuck the ends down so you don't see the rubber bands, and make sure to not let the end strands poke out. So here I'm tucking some more and sewing. And once you're done, you can just rip the thread and then you're done. Alright, so there we have the second hairstyle. And it actually is a bit tricky to sew your own hair, so it's recommended to have somebody to assist you when doing that. You can also sew if you start from the front, or you can use the pins if you start from the back, so it's up to you how you want to do it. But I would just like to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you. Bye!